I got interested in owls during the early 1980s and I started doing things to encourage them. We were putting up nest boxes, advising farmers on creating the right habitat, and it just grew and grew and grew. So in 1988, the Barn Owl Trust was founded. Barn owls and so many other farmland wildlife has become really rare, particularly during the 60s, 70s and 80s because of changing farming practices. Intensive farming basically means there's less food for owls, less habitat for wildlife. The aim of the Barn Owl Trust is to conserve wild barn owls. That's what we're all about. But our slogan is conserving the barn owl and its environment. So we're also an environmental organisation. Occasionally people will come across an injured wild barn owl and we're often the kind of first port of call. We have a little sanctuary where we look after owls that can't be released. Broken wings are the most common problem. Hopefully the wing can be reset, and if it's flying well, then we can arrange its release, and that's the best bit. We usually try and take the birds back to where they've come from. We have a mobile aviary, and we've had some great successes with that. We've got birds breeding in the wild right now, which have gone through that process. Part of our population monitoring is to actually put little rings on individual barn owls to find out what's happened to them. And we also know how long barn owls live, and we know how far they disperse. So ringing is a vitally important tool. The loss of old farm buildings and the loss of really big hollow trees has meant that there's less places for barn owls to roost during the day and also to nest. And so the main thing that we've done to combat that is to put nesting boxes up in modern farm buildings.
We've also got a pair of barn.
Since 1989, we've been visiting schools and we talk to children about barn owls. But the way we do it is actually telling a story which we wrote called The Wings of Change. We also train ecological consultants. If you want to convert a barn, the local authority will say you need to have a survey carried out to see if there are any barn owls here. If it's a site where there are barn owls, they'll know what needs to be recommended to make sure the barn owls are protected. This is the Lennon Legacy Project. A lady called Vivian Lennon left a legacy to the Barn Owl Trust, and basically we've created 26 acres of barn owl heaven. This was short grass with sheep. You know, it's the kind of intensive grazing situation which is really bad for barn owls, and we now have 2 pairs of wild barn owls breeding here, and we're absolutely over the moon. The Barn Owl Trust couldn't have achieved everything it's done without supporters. So friends of the Barn Owl Trust, the people who've adopted our owls, especially the people who've remembered the Barn Owl Trust in their will, without that support we couldn't have done all that educational work, we couldn't have done all the research work, and so that support is obviously essential. We need to care, not only for wildlife, but for our own survival, and the two are inextricably linked.